What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the MFC podcast. Well, let's just say this. Obviously, there's nothing going on to speak of at all, is there, Jamie?
Not that I know of.
No, nothing big happening in the world of MFC. Hey guys, okay, so obviously I'm Kyle Ship. Wow, we are zoomed in on our faces.
It's
And
pretty
I'm
close.
here. Okay, so we have given up the gigantic, beautiful bald man for the day. And instead, what we've done is we've shifted over to Captain Jawline himself. I mean, look at that jawline, dude. You are just a chin strap a chin strap model is what it is.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Kyle.
So, no, Jamie is so co-owner of MFC. He's a business owner. He's a husband. He's a father. He's still an incredible CrossFitter, even though he claims that he's not. And so, dude, thanks for hopping on. As with a week to go. So I was just thinking about that. I was looking at the calendar today. 7 days until check-in at MFC. Are you a little bit busy?
Busier than I anticipated I would be since I kind of took a step back. But no, yeah, it's so having moved here about a month ago, it's gotten pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely. So, okay, so let's do this because no one cares about all the jokes that I have to make right now.
Fair enough.
So let's do this. So here's the thing. Started releasing workouts. So wanted to talk about a couple of those. Maybe show
Yep.
you guys a couple of new ones actually. Since we're doing all of that right now. But dude, let's hop into this because so starting with the very first thing that got released is Pick Six got released. That was the first one to go out. And so wanted to talk a little bit about it. And there were some adjustments made. And wanted to kind of give some insight because I think, admittedly, I think one of the things that, well, I don't want to jump ahead of you. I don't want to jump ahead. Jamie, so do me a favor, talk about the workout and let's talk a little bit about the adjustments that got made.
Honestly, a lot of this comes down to just making sure that we take care of the masters community and we listen. We're not going to take all the advice that is given to us because a lot of it's just complaining. But when I will say that even though I'm almost in that 45 group, of 185-pound overhead squat for 45 to 50 is pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So we pivoted real quick. Made that change. Everything else has stayed the same throughout the competition. So we're not looking to take any more advice. These are the workouts. This is what's doing, and we'll learn from it and move on to next year.
Absolutely, I like that. Yeah, I think, and I think that was the thing is in kind of some of the just in the discussions, it absolutely was that I think there was kind of the so what I was going to say a minute ago, let me say this before I go too far. So what I was going to say a minute ago was, kind of as we go through CrossFit and we look at competitions, I think that's the thing is we've always talked about MFC is really about the community of CrossFitters. This isn't like, hey, we're MFC, like this is, your pleasure to come and work out in front of us. This is really about the community. And like you said, I mean, so it's interesting. Okay, so I'm the faceless man behind the Instagram account. So it's always interesting. I have to first off, Jamie, you know me, and everyone who's watching this probably knows me at least a little bit. I'm way too nice to be running an Instagram account, by the way, because people are mean online. And
Yeah.
so, and here's the I have to remember that they're people are talking, they're expressing their emotions, their opinions, and they're doing it, to a faceless account, not necessarily it's not really Kyle's account. And so, but looking at it, we say we have to remember that like this is a giant spectrum of the ages that I think rightly was kind of broken down. I mean, because even if you just take out like I look at it and go, I'm 40. I'm just now in the 40. But even last year I was in the 39 age group. That was the same weights from 30 up to what was that 54. And so I think, looking at it, it's just trying to, as you as an owner and a director, you're just kind of trying to make sure that everything is working for the entire group, not just a couple ages.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the thing that we have to take into account is, there's as much as I want this to be the season ending type competition that I believe it is run as, that's not where a lot of our competitors are currently, so it's not going to be a game style heavy high skill. It's going to have some of that. It's going to have a little bit of skill. It's going to have a lot of movement and a lot of things that people can do to compete and have fun and enjoy the time there. Cause obviously if you're going to go to Fort Wayne, you're going to need to have some fun on the floor.
Oh yeah, man.
So, there is a lot of great things about Fort Wayne, but that was a joke. So.
Oh no, so no, but I mean that's and I think that's the deal is because especially when you break down the workout itself, I'll put it back up. I took it down, but when you break down the workout itself specifically, I think part of the deal is whether it's 185, 165, 155, 135, 95.
Yeah.
I think within the concept of the age ranges that you're broken down, like I think you wind up with the decline in weight as it goes down. You actually wind up with the same stimulus for each group. A 32-year-old is going to have a different stimulus at 185 than a 48-year-old is.
Well, and they're going to have fresher joints too. I mean, I'm not a big fan of overhead squatting. It's not very comfortable for me in my skill set, but it is what it is. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to make sure that everyone that's coming to compete is going to have a good time. Have I ever complained about a workout to a Instagram account? No, I have never done that. I barely know the workouts before I go to competition.
That's
not what I expect everyone to do.
Well, and that's I admittedly I always laughed at that because I would do the same thing. Like there would be those competitions that I would like stress over and freak out over, and I would break everything down and I'd write out all my times. Man, I always did worse at those than the ones that I just showed up and was like, "What's the workout today?" I guess there was just something for me at least. I mean, I'm talking personally here. There was something about the stress that went with that, and just kind of the enjoyment of competing versus the this is if I don't win this, then I'm nothing.
Yeah.
And trying to and admittedly, some of the comments I'm sure I'm making now, somebody's gonna be upset because everybody always thinks that you're talking right to them when you're doing a podcast or when you're doing a video, and but speaking of that though, it's interesting because it's one of the things that I kind of have to remind myself. What do we have? We've got almost 500 competitors again this year. It's always funny when you do these things. There's this range, and kind of quite frankly, it's a bell curve where you've got that curve where right here you have the people that they're going to send the messages to you, and they're gonna be upset about most of what you do. You've got this giant gap in the middle that this is everybody who's fine with basically anything, and then you got these people over here that they're gonna have an opinion on the opposite side of the other side. And so really it's always interesting when you're doing something as big as MFC, you're really trying to hit all those people right here in the big curve that are like, hey man, sounds great, Fort Wayne for a weekend, stay in a hotel, throw down with my buddies, see all my friends, laugh and sweat a little bit, we'll have a good time.
I mean, that's how MFC started. Like it started in 2018, and we were all thrown down at Granite Games and Wodapalooza, and it just kind of came and clicked from there. What's going to happen when people come to the event is better than complaining about it beforehand. I will tell you that. So like everyone that's upset now or is firing off comments and that's fine. They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to say whatever they want to say. But when they show up, they're going to have a great time. This is an experience. They're getting full uniforms from Virus. They're getting rad shoes. Like this isn't one of those like local throwdowns. This is a big deal. So I think the experience that everyone's going to get from this is going to be more like the old school regional feel That's the biggest thing I heard from last year. Is they were like, this makes it feel like regionals.
Yeah.
And I mean, regionals was a blast. I made it twice, and that was like the pinnacle, man. That was the good stuff. So that I take that as a high compliment.
Yeah. So remind me then, what years was it you made it to regionals? Do you remember? Sometimes you remember stuff like that from back when your competition days, and sometimes you don't.
13 and 16.
13 and 16. Very nice. Let's see. I wasn't CrossFitting at that point yet. So, dude, you were an OG.
I have been around too long. Too long.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this, Jamie. Let me ask you this. Do you want to reveal an individual and a team workout right here that'll go up on Instagram here in a little bit? All right. So let's do this. So we'll go. And admittedly, I'm gonna put up my favorite individual workout. Not because I would have been really good at it, but just because I'm so excited to broadcast this workout. So the workout we're going to put up is Omaha. All right. Omaha, part A, 3-minute max cows on the godforsaken Echo bike. Straight into, there's not a rest here, straight into 963 of ring muscle ups and a sandbag carry.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, would you have a favorite part of this work? Would there be something you're like, yes, I'm ready for that?
The sandbag carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
I mean, so the problem, the thing that people are going to come across is that unless you're incredibly conditioned, you're going to have to either choose one or the other. And if you're not a big athlete, it's tough to rack up cows on the Echo bike. So, it's those things respond to violence. So, do you push it 3 minutes in the max cows, or do you go unbroken on the ring muscle ups? I don't know what I would do. I mean, I do love a sandbag carry, and I think the ring muscle ups could be done unbroken, but depends on how hard I went on that 3 minutes. Like if I emptied it and then tried to hop up on the rings, I might die. I don't know.
Well, and that's the interesting part of this to me, and it's the sneaky part, because if you go out in part A, and even if you're like, okay, I'm going to coast the last 2 minutes to try to catch my breath, dude, we've all done a 60-second at about 90% on an Echo bike. You can't move after that.
No, the lactic acid buildup. I think my strategy, just thinking about this, I would have to pick like an 80% and just stay there and keep the lactic acid out. And then hope for the best on the ring muscle ups.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, because even with that, I mean, you talk about it, because at the end of the day, in terms of competition, at the end of the day, it's about the best finish amongst everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, that's great. You may be a big, strong dude who can just rip through an Echo bike, but if you rip through that Echo bike and just blow yourself, because you're like, I'm going to take first on the first part coming out of this workout, good luck trying to finish the next one. I think I've done that a couple of times but mine was always on like a cardio piece. Like you've got some big cardio, you got a 2,000 meter buy-in on a rower, and then all of a sudden you've got box jumps and chest to bars.
I mean, I remember hearing a story about you in 2020 on the Echo bike. So
okay, look, okay. Here's the deal. There's two things about this story from 2020. Two things. Yes. One, and I'm gonna dog on myself first for one. So 2020 was a weird adjustment year for me, because so 2019, when we had the let me get this out of the way so I can see your full beautiful face. 2019, whenever we had the weird open in October, you remember that? Where there's that weird deal, open in October. So that was the fittest I've ever been. My favorite, the best finish I've ever had in the open was the burpee over the bar and power snatch at like 115 maybe.
Yeah.
I think I finished inside the top 100 in the 35 to 39 for that. Loved it, flew through it. And so I finished in the top 200 that year. But that was also the year that they switched over to sanctionals. So I went to, now I didn't make sanctionals, but I was like they switch over sanctional. So you had all these major competitions that were going on that were also having masters divisions as well as being qualifiers for the.
Yeah, you went to strength and depth, didn't you?
I went to strength and depth, and just got my crap handed to me. By the way, holy crap! Oh my gosh, I got handed to me. I felt like I was in good shape too. I don't know if it was travel or what. I'm not about to blame like jet lag. Like people fly over here all the time and kick my butt still, so that's fine too. Then I was in Montreal for the Atlas games when they shut down. Like literally, like we were there at the facility checking in, and they shut down. Okay, so that all happens, and so whenever we we came back, and it a week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 3 weeks. I was a little bit pissed off because I was like, crap, I'm finally in good shape. I don't get to go to the Atlas games, and so I decided to fight the coronavirus with cases of Corona itself. And so then came out to, so qualified, came out to Fort Wayne. And so we're doing this deal. Here's the deal though, is I was in this like super competitive mindset at this point. See, because this was kind of, I knew you guys because we had gotten together out at, what was it? Legends in San Diego that year.
Yeah.
The first interaction I ever had with you was we were joking about wearing pink Speedos on the internet. I hadn't even met you yet, and we're joking about wearing pink Speedos.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so the deal, I didn't really know you guys. Okay, dude, we come out, and so then at MFC there was a Echo Bike and
bar
muscle up workout. And here's the deal: this was back in my skinnier days. So bar muscle ups were a good thing for me, and Echo Bike, like we said, if you do Echo Bike right, it can be more of a cardio workout. If you do it wrong, it's going to blow you up.
Yeah.
So we go out there, and I'm starting on this Echo Bike, and I'm like, dude, what's wrong? I feel exhausted, And so I finished dead last. I think I was in fourth coming into that. I finished in dead last, and not only dead last, like we're talking about dead last, like, hey, who let somebody's little brother come out here and play with the big kids type of last. So I was, I was upset. And, they looked at, I said, I think something's wrong with that bike, whether there was something wrong with the bike or not. Admittedly, I was, let's be honest, I was a pouty baby for the rest of the day. Oh man, poor Ren. Our buddy Ren will tell you that was an awkward evening because I was just a little, we'll say baby to be nice with what B word I'm using. Next day I was fine. And honestly, that was kind of a turning point for me where it was like, dude, why am I acting like this? And so from then, it's always just been fun and games with all of these competitions. And now I just talk for a living. So I'll let all you people do all the sweating.
Hey, I haven't competed in forever. So I'm just here to be fit and do whatever.
Dude, and you most definitely do that. Okay. Oh, hey, so here you go. So, all right, let's talk about being fit though, real quick. So one thing that we didn't say is we didn't give everyone the good news about this sandbag carry. Would you like to give them the good news about the sandbag carry? Or would you like me to?
What's the good news?
Oh, the good news is something that our buddy Luke Schmidt is going to be really excited about.
Oh, yeah, the weights of this.
The weights of this. Do you remember them off the top of your head? I've got it in front of me if you don't.
I do. I believe it's for 30 to 44. It's 200 and 150.
Yep.
And then 45 to 54 is 150, 100. And then it's 170 after that.
That's right. Oh boy. So I tell you what, you want to talk about, I mean, we continue on with the allow the strategy to figure out if you're fit, you'll be fit. If you're not fit, there's no way to strategize this.
Yeah. No, it's going to crush your lungs when you pick up that bag. It's going to be one of those things where if you're breathing hard already, it's not going to stop. So survive the muscle ups, hold on to the bag and hold on to your shorts.
Your shorts. Well, yeah. And it's kind of one of those where unless somebody is just raring to go and this is the best workout for them ever, it's probably one of those workouts where the last person out of the first round, unless they are just struggling. Like, but if they're like small sets and consistent, like they're probably going to be the ones that win, because the person who comes out, and I'm going to be interested to see who does the 9 muscle ups unbroken, picks up that bag and carries it for nine links, the whole way unbroken as well.
I mean, that's going to be tough. Obviously, it's going to fatigue the arms. I have extremely long arms, so sandbag carries are really good for me, but that makes other things not very good.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna take someone who has a pretty good muscle capacity, or they're gonna have to be smart with their brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I have very short arms. These things are absolutely tiny.
We are the opposite,
dude. 150 sandbags is like just that. That's all I got with those. So
I'm literally like, because I have a 6'4" wingspan on this short little body.
You're what are you, 5'10", 5'11"?
5'11".
Yeah, 5'11". Yeah.
Don't take that inch from me, Kyle.
Hey, look, dude, I'm 5'7". I look up to everybody. So 5'10", 5'11", 6'2", it's all the same from down here, man.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, all right. So one last thing, and then I'll let you go. All right. So we've given you guys we've given you an individual workout. We'll give you a team workout now. And because we're doing this via podcast, I'm going to tell you my favorite team workout now too. This one is gridiron. So gridiron, 4-time partner 1, 40 or 30 cal echo bike, 10 sandbag cleans, 10 sandbag squats, and a 50-foot sandbag lunge. And then you guys just switch. And so the teamwork aspect really just becomes, one of you is watching and supporting the other, and you're either waiting on them to finish so you can start, or you're waiting on them to finish so you guys can go climb into a Chili Goat cold tub and try and recover. Because again, very similar to the last one, dude. Even though this one's not a time, 40, talking from a men's perspective, 40 cals on the Echo bike is that's a significant number as you're trying to get over and start working with a heavy sandbag.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's and this isn't one of those things where it's going to be like you got to put it down. Like, you're going to do your 10 sandbag cleans, and then you're going to do your squats, and then you're going to lunge with it. Like, you're not going to want to put it down for those lunges and pick it back up. I mean, this is kind of a sprint, and I believe the cap on that is going to be a little bit shorter. I think it's 10 minutes.
Oh, did I put oh man. Well, there we go. Nobody pay attention to the cap. On the Instagram, it will have the correct cap.
I'll confirm that with you. But okay. Yeah, I mean, I that's a short workout from my mind. I think that's a minute and a half on the bike, 10 sandbag cleans. You should be done with all this under 5. I think this is more of my style workout, just grunt work. Like, no skill, just move, squat.
Oh yeah. So with this, I mean, are you trying to do the same thing on the bike? Are you just trying to find that 80%, or are you getting out there and trying to rev it up and get 5 quick cals and then coast it in? What are you doing here, buddy?
I'm probably going to try to get those first 20 cals in about 35 seconds.
Oh.
And then I'll ride it out from there. I'll catch my breath a little bit, and then I'll pick up that sandbag.
Dude, just listening to you talk about 20 cals on the Echo bike in 30 seconds, like I'm feeling that I want to throw up from the lactic acid just listening to you say that. Man,
I mean, 35 to 40 seconds. That's if you rev it up, you're revving it around probably like 95 to 100 on that. I mean, that's going to hurt a little bit, but it'll get done faster. So, and like you said, it's only one round. You don't have to do it multiple times. So you're just going to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, as you're getting on that bike, because that was the thing, I always worry, because when I get to the very end of that bike where you went just a little bit too hard, how your legs kind of stop functioning. Oh man, like you feel like you're pedaling in sand. Could you imagine if you wind up pedaling in sand, you get to go pick up that bag, and so the bag's not the 200-pound bag. No. The bag is the 150, and the scaling that comes from the 150 and down. Could you imagine going to pick up that 100-pound bag or 150-pound bag and doing cleans, squats, and then lunges after you just got off of pedaling in sand.
I think the squats are going to be something that is going to hurt some people.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah. I gotta say, I always have fun with these competitions though. Cause okay, so we kind of, I want to allude back to something before we wrap it up so I always have fun with these competitions because whether it's a competition that I have done, whether it's a competition that I have worked at or I've just watched, it's always interesting because there is, like, let's face it, there's nervousness and there's trepidation coming into the competition. And sometimes people see a movement or they see a weight or they see something like, oh, that's terrible, or I can't do that, or whatever. And what always, and we saw this last year actually, is people come out and the people who weren't all that thrilled were like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I could do that. And then I got here and I had all these people cheering and I was in this environment and like I accomplished this. And so we actually wind up having people being like, hey, I'm so glad that you did that.
Yeah.
And so that's always the interesting part that, kind of try to remind myself of. And I got to admit, I'm kind of looking forward to what that's going to be this year,
I'm excited for it because I think that, like I saw it a couple times last year, with a couple different people like coming up to me afterwards, being like, and these are people who caused a fuss beforehand. They're like, you know what, that wasn't that bad. I'm like, just show up and work out, man. It's going to be okay. We're going to figure it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always the name of the game is, hey man, we're going to figure it out. So it's, a high level comp, but community focus, having a great time with it. And so exactly. I know I'm looking forward to being there next week and giving out hugs and laughs and high fives and celebrating with people and everything. So
I can't wait to see you.
Oh, dude, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. Like that's like here, I get to get in on Wednesday. I can't wait to get in on Wednesday evening and just start seeing people. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to get anything done on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm just going to be giving out hugs is what's going to happen.
You are an exceptional hugger.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I've done my best lately to try, and you guys are all so muscular and firm. I've done my best to try and pat it a little bit. So that way, as I hug you, I can kind of envelop you and accept the muscle that you bring,
It is very courteous of you to do such a thing.
I've worked very hard.
Some would say selfless,
I mean, that's what we say, as I'm going back for fajita number 7, that's what I say. I said, dude, this is a selfless act is what
you're like. I'm doing this for Jamie.
That's right. This is for Jamie. Goodness. Yes. Jamie. Well, because the problem is Jamie's chest, by the way, is from the back of his back to the front of his chest is like as wide as his shoulders. Jamie is he's like a Minecraft person box is what he is. And so that chiseled square jaw, it just keeps going down to the pecs and the shoulders, so it's hard. So
man, I could have used you as a hype man in college. It would have been fun.
Dude, hey, listen, I'm nothing if not a hype man. Like that's what I was kind of chuckle at with the broadcast is I may not be Sean Woodland, but by God, I'm gonna hype everybody up.
Man, Sean Woodland's good.
Oh, dude, he's amazing, isn't he? Oh man.
Not having him at the games this year was hard. That
was a tough one. That was a tough one, absolutely. So
that was before everything happened. I was like,
oh. Yeah, could you win? That's the deal. I mean, that's oh my goodness, that's not and admittedly not that Sean Woodland's presence would have made it any better at all, but it just it's always interesting when you kind of start working backwards on the timeline, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, and it just kind of builds and builds and builds, and so that's Sean Woodland. So here's the deal. So actually, when that announcement came out, when he put that out that he wasn't going to be back, I sent him a message, and here's the deal. He's Sean Woodland. I always kind of chuckle because we do this, these celebrities in the CrossFit space. Yeah. But the funny thing is, CrossFit celebrities are famous to CrossFit people, but CrossFit is about the community. And so they're far more interactive. So I sent him a message like, dude, I'm really going to miss you. I was like, whenever I do, I was like, I have been blessed to be able to do MFC for a couple of years now. And whenever I do that, like, I say things in my head, trying to figure out, like, not trying to replicate you, but trying to figure out, like, what direction would I just told him, I said, you're the voice in my head when I'm trying to figure out how do I make calls. And he responded. He was very gracious. And wow, that means I was like, it's really funny. I was like, you know what? I mean, if I sent a message to Troy Aikman telling him how much I try to emulate him, Troy's not going to Instagram me back. So I was
different. I
was kind of starstruck whenever Sean actually messaged me back. So that was a fun one.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, Jamie, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to next week and just looking forward to kind of everything that goes along with MFC. Just such an amazing time, man.
It's going to be a amazing weekend, and we're all looking forward to seeing everybody.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful time. You won't hear from me on this platform again until after MFC. So I'll see you guys in Fort Wayne.